Hey everybody, welcome to Jersey Beast Radio. This is Christopher Jersey Beast Lopez. This is going to be a regular radio segment that I'm going to be doing just to get some information out to you guys about nutrition, training for mass, performance, strength, as well as some injury prevention techniques and some rest and recovery techniques as well. So keep an eye out. This radio station is on Spreaker.com, so if you're interested, be sure to check Spreaker.com and subscribe. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them to the best of my ability. You can reach me on Twitter at The Jersey Beast, and that's on Twitter. So send them my way. If I can't answer questions, because by no means do I know everything, so if I can't answer them, I will do my homework and get back to you, or I will get somebody to answer them who has more knowledge on the subject than I do. But I'm going to do my best to get some killer information out to you guys. And that's pretty much it. So hit me up on Twitter at The Jersey Beast, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So today is October 29th, 2012. I am in New Jersey, so it is pretty wicked outside. Got Hurricane Sandy rolling in. And I see a lot of posts today on Facebook about training at home, because a lot of friends who are coaches have closed their gyms and they have given makeup workouts and things like that for their athletes or for their members. And so we're going to hit a little bit on that today, about training when you cannot get to the gym. And you can use these techniques anytime. Now, most likely that your gym is closed today if you live in this area, because it's pretty bad out. Like I said, we got some crazy winds, and they're reporting a ton of damage by the time this is done in the next couple days. So, for whatever reason, not necessarily a hurricane, but for whatever reason, if you cannot get to the gym for whatever reason that day, feel free to think about these techniques I'm about to give you and expand on them a little bit. All right. So when you can't get to the gym, you're kind of limited on equipment. You typically don't have a ton of stuff at your disposal that you can use that you would have access to at the gym. You might have a bench and maybe some dumbbells at home, or maybe a cheap barbell set like most of us had growing up. So it's time to just take that stuff, dust it off, and kind of make the most of it if you can. If you don't have any of those things, then you're really kind of limited. But that's sometimes you get the best workouts that way. You kind of have to think outside the box to make things challenging. So I'm going to share with you a few techniques I've used for myself and for my clients when they've been away, or when I've been away on vacation or on business, etc. So the first technique that we're going to cover is what I call 40-30-20. It's exactly what it sounds like. You basically pick a circuit of exercises. Most of the time it's body weight, because it's very high volume to do this type of training. Most of the time it's body weight, like push-ups or air squats, lunges, pull-ups. If you can't do pull-ups, inverted rows are fine. If you don't know what inverted rows are, when your feet are on the floor and you're kind of holding on to a barbell, like for example, holding on to the back of a staircase or something, so where your arms are above your head and you can row yourself up to whatever you're hanging from with your feet on the floor. Hopefully that that painted a decent picture for you. If not, then just Google it. But 40-30-20, that basically means you're doing 40 reps of the circuit, the 5 or 6 exercises, 30 reps of the circuit, and then 20 reps of the circuit. Now, these exercises could be anything. They can be all strength movements. You can do alternating strength movements with conditioning. So maybe do, your first circuit, or your circuit will consist of maybe push-ups, skipping rope, air squats, burpees, and then maybe inverted rows or pull-ups. And those, the second and the fourth exercises are more conditioning than they would be for strength. You can mix it up however you want. If you want to make it more conditioning heavy, then you will put number 2 and number 4 as strength movements, and keep 1, 3, and 5 as conditioning. Now you're going to get conditioning regardless because just the volume is so high and the break time is pretty minimal on this because you want to kind of blow through it as fast as you can with keeping good form, obviously. So you blow through the first round of the circuit at 40 reps as quick as you can, and then you would take a breather for a few seconds, then 30 reps as quick as you can, and then 20 reps as quick as you can. If you're feeling really badass, you can up those numbers to 50, 40, 30, or you could do 40, 30, 20, 10, however you want to break it up. But basically, it's a circuit that decreases as you run through each round. If you want to make it tougher, you can reverse those numbers. You can do 20, 30, 40, or 10, 20, 30, 40, or however you want to break it up. As the workout progresses, the volume gets higher on each exercise. It definitely makes it a lot tougher on you. So give that a shot too. I would try with the first variation first, and then move to the second. The second type of training that you guys can do if you are unable to make it to the gym is just go to the track. Every local high school's got a track, and it's usually open to the public. And you can typically bring a couple pieces of equipment with you, throw it in your car, and just head over there. Whether it's a couple dumbbells or maybe a few resistance bands, or even just your own body weight. Just throw in some body weight exercises in the middle of your training at the track. But what I would recommend is that you would, since you're at the track, that you would involve some sort of sprints into the training. The reason for that is because sprints work everything. It's going to work your explosiveness. It's going to work your conditioning. It's going to work how fast your muscles can contract and react when you tell them to. So that's going to directly relate to your strength training. And a lot of times, if you look at sprinters, they're pretty jacked up dudes. So, it's going to also help the anabolic response in your body when it comes time to packing on some muscle, as opposed to walking laps on the track. Okay, so what I would recommend is maybe sprint. A sample workout you could do is maybe sprint 40 yards, 30 or 40 yards. And most of the time the tracks have lines on the football field, especially this time of year, so it's pretty easy to mark off how far you're going. But 30 or 40 yards, which for most people is like a 5 or 6 second sprint. So just even if you don't have lines on the field or on the track, then just count it out to yourself, 5 or 6 seconds. And jog back to the starting point, skip some rope, maybe 30 skips, 50 skips, and then take a breather and then do it again. The skipping of rope and the jogging back to the starting point acts as kind of like an active recovery. When you are recovering from sessions, sometimes it's beneficial to throw in some active recovery, which means you're a movement recovery. You're not just sprinting and then taking a knee and then just sucking wind for 30 or 40 seconds. You keep your heart rate up, you keep your muscles going, you keep that blood flowing, and it tends to help recover a little bit faster, and also builds your wind up so when you're playing a game or when you're in the middle of a match or even just in the middle of your workout, if you don't play sports, that you're not going to burn out as quick because when you're still moving during the rest period of your workouts, your body's using that as a recovery. So take that into consideration as well. And those you can do, that type of workout you can pretty much do for rounds, and each one of those would be around. So a 40-yard sprint, jog back, jump rope 50 times. That's one round. Or you can sprint up, do body weight lunges back. Be creative. It's all about being creative. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just about making sure that the workout is intense and that you actually feel good when you're done. Most of the time when people can't go to the gym, they're out of their comfort zone and they don't know how to think for themselves because they don't have that typical equipment that's available to them that they're used to. Whether it's dumbbells or barbells or machines or whatever they're used to training on, they're not in that routine anymore. They have to think for themselves, and if they don't have a strength coach or trainer with them, it's kind of tough. So you just be creative. It's there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just a matter of thinking outside the box, thinking what you have around you. And you'd be really surprised what you can come up with to make exercises harder. You can sprint up and jog back, and then take a breather, and then the next round you can bear crawl up and jog back. Just different things that's going to just keep your heart rate pumping, get your muscles going, and make you, again, feel good when you're done. That's the whole key of training, right? Is you want to feel good. You don't want to feel like you're killing yourself after the workout. It's okay to feel like you're killing yourself during the workout, but afterwards you want to feel good. So that's the key. The next thing that you can take in consideration is maybe like a suspension trainer, like a TRX or something to that effect, something that kind of takes the body weight movements to the next level and adds a little bit more core stability into it. Now, there's a few products out like that are pretty mainstream nowadays. Obviously, the TRX, everybody knows about that, and you can snag one of those, and it's just a matter of, and it doesn't have to be a TRX. I mean, I've had people use cam buckle straps that they bought from Home Depot and just pretty much jerry-rig a set of suspension straps up with those. And if you're unfamiliar with that, let me know, and maybe I'll make a YouTube video on how to make those for you guys. They're a lot cheaper than snagging up a TRX. But anyway, what the suspension trainer does is you hang it from a tree, or you hang it from your door jamb, or you hang it from a pull-up bar, and you basically are able to do presses with it or rows with it, and it really works a lot of core stability into the workout. So not only are you working the muscles that you're actually working with the press, which would be your chest and your shoulders, or the rows that you're doing, which would be your back, but you're also contracting your core so you're not falling over, which is kind of key too. If you're unfamiliar with the TRX or suspension trainer, I'll include a link in on the blog when I post this, and you can familiarize yourself with that. The last kind of technique, and this is probably the one that most people, especially meatheads, guys who just are used to lifting weights, they look at this type of training and they kind of scoff at it and think it's for boot camps and girls and sissies, but it's just basic body weight. There's nothing fancy about body weight, but if you take body weight training and you look at some of the guys who do strictly body weight training, there are some pretty jacked up guys who just rely on their body weight. And the key is to mix it up. That's the key when it comes to bodyweight training. Mixing up your push-ups, mixing up your pull-ups. I know as a bodybuilder years ago, I used to scoff at pull-ups. I used to be like, nobody does pull-ups, and I used to load up that lat pull-down with 250 or 300 pounds and bang out reps, but then I go to do pull-ups and I'd get 2 or 3 and I'd be done. So my advice to you, even when you're in the gym, is to ditch the lat pull-down, go for the pull-ups. If you can do pull-ups and push-ups, trust me, your bench press is going to be higher, your deadlift will be higher, your rows will, you'll be stronger on your rows, just because you have to master your own body weight before you can master heavy weights, and that's just the reality of it. If you can't do that, then you can get strong, but you're not going to be as strong as you could be if you master those bodyweight movements first. And the same thing goes for squats and lunges. Bulgarian split squats and air squats and bodyweight lunges are key to building strength up in your legs. If you can't do a bodyweight squat correctly for a set of 15 or 20 with no problem, then chances are you're not squatting with the bar correctly. So just keep that in mind. Body weight is key. And when I say mix up the grips on pull-ups and push-ups, do staggered grips, or one hand up on an object like a medicine ball or a step. Same thing with pull-ups, overhand, underhand, mixed grip pull-ups. Like that over-under grip that most people use in their deadlifts. You can do pull-ups that way too. Do pull-ups with a towel. Just, again, get creative. And if you get to a point where bodyweight movements are too easy for you, then maybe you should slow them down a little bit, right? So be explosive on the concentric part of the movement, the contraction part of the movement, right? And then slow it down on the eccentric part of the movement. And that's going to add a whole other development and a whole different type of burn to your training. So just give that a shot and think outside the box. All right. And another thing too is if you have stuff lying around the house that are kind of somewhat heavy, feel free to throw them into your training. I mean, it's not the best scenario, but it's still going to add a different element than you would typically have in the gym, and that's the key to growth in not only muscle growth but mental growth, and you know, the growth of just you training as an individual. You know, you have to be outside of your comfort zone. You have to think outside the box. You have to challenge yourself. And it could be as simple as just challenging yourself to figure out how to make this workout tougher. Because who knows, if you make this workout tougher at your house and you're like, damn, that was a really good workout, you might incorporate that stuff in your gym when you had access to that equipment and take that workout to the absolute next level. So just keep that in mind, all right? So that's it for today. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Implement those things. I know if you're living on the East Coast, you're probably getting slammed with this Hurricane Sandy. So if you have time to train, definitely get it done somehow, some way. Again, with a circuit or some sort of intervals. Doesn't have to be sprints, because obviously if you're living on the East Coast, you are not getting to a track right now. But if you have a treadmill, bust out the treadmill, or a bike, do sprints on the bike, then jump rope like we talked about for that active recovery. Use that suspension trainer if you have one. If not, go straight up with the body weight. All right. So again, this is going to be a regular segment on Spreaker.com. Send me your questions. I'm curious to see what you guys thought of this episode, and I'm anxious to see your questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you guys. So get them out to me, again, on Twitter at The Jersey Beast, and again, that's on Twitter. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Peace out, and if you're on the East Coast, be safe. Later, guys.